I give the floor to the representative of Pakistan.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank Deputy Special Coordinator Ramiz Al-Akbarov and Mr. Nikolai Mladinov, High Representative for Gaza, for their comprehensive briefings. President, the situation in the Middle East is becoming increasingly volatile, marked by escalating conflicts and the risk of regional and global conflagration and spillover. While multiple crises have distinct drivers, it is the unresolved question of Palestine that remains at the core of the Arab-Israeli conflict, perpetuating instability, shaping dynamics, fueling grievances, and undermining the prospects for a just and lasting peace. The Palestinian people continue to endure illegal occupation, dispossession, systemic violence, and the denial of their inalienable rights, including the right to self-determination. Over the past 2 years, their suffering has reached unprecedented levels, particularly in Gaza, where more than 71,000 Palestinians, mostly women and children, have been killed. And violence has also intensified sharply in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem, where more than 1,100 Palestinians have been killed in the last couple of years. And in recent weeks, settler violence has reached its highest level since the United Nations began systematic tracking of this particular aspect. What we are witnessing is no longer a matter of isolated incidents, but organized, coordinated attacks against the Palestinian population. This is a direct consequence of an occupation system that has been allowed to operate with impunity. And let me underline that such measures violate international law, undermine the ongoing peace efforts, they run counter to the comprehensive plan, and they jeopardize the prospects of achieving a just and lasting peace. Just days ago, on 15th of March, fire was opened on a Palestinian family in the town of Tamun, where Ali Bani Auda, his wife Waid, and their 2 young sons, Uthman, aged 7, and Muhammad, aged 5, were killed. They were on their way to buy new clothes for the Eid, and 2 of their other children were wounded. And this was not a battlefield, it was a family car on a civilian road. And following this, a wave of settler attacks swept across the West Bank, where masked groups set fire to homes, burned mosques, destroyed vehicles, and injured dozens of civilians. As the occupying power, Israel bears legal obligation under international law to protect Palestinian civilians. That obligation is being violated, unfortunately, with impunity. So, President, despite these grim realities, the international community has pursued a path towards peace. The high-level conference in July and the General Assembly's endorsement of the New York Declaration last year established a multilateral pathway to a Palestinian state. And efforts by the United States, led by President Trump, supported by Arab and OIC countries, advanced the peace plan and facilitated the Sharm el-Sheikh summit, mobilizing regional and international actors around some of the key and urgent priorities, that is, ending the bloodshed, achieving a permanent ceasefire, responding to the humanitarian catastrophe, reuniting families with detainees and hostages, and reopening a credible political process towards Palestinian self-determination and statehood. These efforts culminated in Security Council Resolution 2803, which Pakistan supported as part of the group of 8 Arab and Islamic countries who were engaged in this process and in full alignment with the position of the State of Palestine and the Arab countries. the formation of the Executive Board for Gaza under the Board of Peace, and the National Committee for Administration of Gaza, and the appointment of the High Representative, who is with us today, are positive steps. What matters now is translating these developments into tangible, on-ground implementation. Looking ahead, Pakistan wishes to highlight the following points. First, settlement expansion must halt immediately in full compliance with Resolution 2334. Any measure aimed at altering the demographic, legal, or historical character of the occupied territories, including around Al-Haram al-Sharif, is illegal and must be reversed. In light of recent events, we further call for an immediate cessation of organized settler violence. Second, Resolution 2803 must be implemented in full and in good faith, including full implementation of the ceasefire and full, safe, and unimpeded humanitarian access to ensure humanitarian assistance at scale. Mr. Mladinov is right in saying that the achievements in the first phase of the comprehensive plan should not be taken for granted. And we think that the second phase of the comprehensive plan must now be implemented without delay. And let me emphasize here the central and indispensable role of the Palestinian Authority in this process. Third, reconstruction should begin forthwith with no annexation, forced displacement, or fragmentation of the occupied Palestinian land. Fourth, accountability. We should not forget this aspect. Accountability is indispensable. Without justice and respect for international law, there can be no durable peace. Perpetrators of violence against civilians, including those involved in settler attacks, must be brought to justice. And fifth, a time-bound and irreversible political process anchored in relevant UN resolutions must lead to the establishment of a sovereign, independent, and contiguous state of Palestine on the basis of the pre-1967 borders with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. That is the best guarantee for durable peace and stability in the region. Pakistan's solidarity with the Palestinian people remains unwavering. We stand firmly with them in their legitimate struggle against occupation, for their dignity, justice, and self-determination, and for the realization of an independent Palestinian state in accordance with international legitimacy. President, we are deeply concerned at the evolving situation in the broader Middle East. In fact, the region stands at a perilous crossroad with risk of wider conflagration and far-reaching consequences. Against this already dire backdrop, further escalation must be avoided at all costs. We call on all parties to exercise maximum restraint. And the ultimate aim must be cessation of all hostilities and moving towards peaceful resolution of all issues. And together with other partners, Pakistan is actively engaged in promoting this objective. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Pakistan for the statement